Then I took a smidge and applied it down there.
This one's wife. Soft power dynamite. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. This one's wife has many detractors. Individuals who, for many years for some of us, have understood what she is, have seen the way that she behaves. We have identified the various characteristics, from my perspective, to determine her narcissism. Many other people accept that she is a narcissist. Others, not skilled in the identification of narcissism in the way that I am, at least certainly identified there was a lot wrong with this individual. From there's something off about her to she's just told a lie. That doesn't make sense. She's changed her position. People could see that there was an unpleasantness, a nastiness, a grasping nature about her. And the more that they watched, the more that they were able to see it, as she was unable to keep those aspects of her personality completely hidden. Alongside that, the revelations about her behaviour began to flow. The allegations of wanting it her own way in relation to the wedding, for instance, wanting to put in diffusers to change the scent of the venue for the wedding, the tantrum over the tiara. There followed, of course, instances where there were allegations of bullying Charlotte, allegations of bullying staff, and on it went, as bit by bit the charge sheet against this one's wife started to build up. And throughout, I've been there to explain to you what all of this means, why her narcissism is the heart of it, why she behaves as she does, and in some instances, tell you about what to expect next. As time has gone on, some supporters of hers have drifted away. They've been disappointed at how she's behaved. There are others who've increasingly disliked what she's done. The attacks against the Queen and Prince Philip in their dotage, the ridiculous allegations of racism that have been bandied around have resulted in more and more people turning against her. This one's wife's paranoia causes her to often talk about the hatred that is spilled towards her. For the most part, it's not hatred, it's disdain, disgust, dislike. There are, of course, certain individuals who would freely admit that they hate her, that she has really got under their skin. But for the most part, people disapprove of the way that she conducts herself. They dislike her as a human being. They are evidencing their disdain for the way that she conducts herself. Notwithstanding this large body of individuals that have taken against her, there remains some individuals who are supporters of her, who are unable to see the evidence that demonstrates what she is. Those individuals have their own motives. Some simply nailed their colours to the Harry's wife mast, and therefore, since they've supported her from when she rose to prominence as a consequence of marrying Ginger Bollocks, they felt that thereafter all they can do is continue to support her. There will be instances where they've seen that she's behaved badly. They know it privately, but they will never admit it publicly because they don't want to lose face. Then there are a certain group that are utterly deluded, who simply see everything that she does through their own lens of her being perfect and wonderful and that she's the victim. There are others who have an agenda in relation to her. Either they're paid by her as staff, supporters, or PR puff pieces, or that she proves some usefulness to them, and therefore they provide her with the appearance of support so long as she's doing the thing that they require her to do. Accordingly, those that support her are either deluded, feel they have no choice but to support her, or do so because it simply serves their own purposes. You are not going to find people who support her because she is a decent individual and that she does so much good. Those categories that I've just mentioned will suggest that she does so much good, but as I've just explained, they have different reasons from that as to why they continue to support her. Nevertheless, we now have an example of somebody, evidently seeing that there is a useful agenda with her, offering the suggestion that this one's wife is soft power dynamite. Nels Abbey writes in The Guardian, Harry and this one's wife in Jamaica are soft power dynamite. Britain is left with kryptonite, William and Kate. You can tell from that headline the way the wind is blowing with this particular article. But before we dive into the meat of it, let's just examine the headline. Britain is left with kryptonite, William and Kate. Kryptonite to who? Possibly the Sussexes. If that's what he's referencing, he's accurate. But if he's talking about them being kryptonite in much wider terms, that's patently ridiculous. Their popularity is soaring. Prince William was viewed as the most popular royal in the United States. Opinion polls regularly have them scoring well, and certainly way above the Sussexes. They are well received in the places that they go. They are regularly complimented for the statesman and stateswoman-like ability that they exhibit when they go and visit places. Kate is regularly praised for her human touch, the magnetism that she exhibits. To suggest that Harry and this one's wife are soft power dynamite, soft power for who? The United Kingdom? No. That is a nation that they've turned their backs on. Harry has become a traitor to his country, and this one's wife never embraced it in the first place. Therefore, if you're suggesting that they're soft power dynamite for the United Kingdom, that's patent nonsense. They're in it for themselves. Let's read on and find out what Nels Abbey is actually writing about. A popular Nigerian adage says, "The cow never knows the value of its tail until it's chopped off." In many tragic ways, this speaks to today's Britain. From EU membership to competent leadership to low inflation. It seems necessary for Britain to lose things to appreciate their importance. This week, look at Prince Harry and this one's wife being feted in Jamaica. See the soft power skills they carry with them. And think about that Nigerian adage. What soft power skills have they got? A man who looked like he didn't really want to be there. A woman who once again wears inappropriate clothing and is only turning up because she needs to overshadow other people. Is that what you mean by soft power? I'd recommend that you revisit the meaning of the phrase. In much of the British media, Harry and this one's wife are all-year panto villains. Indeed, and it's all of their own doing. But around the world, they could not be more loved. Really? Which polls and which publications are you looking at, Nels Abbey? Because for as far as I can see, for instance, in the United States, they are regularly reported on unfavourably. They plummet in the polls in the United States. I've seen headlines from Germany, Norway, Sweden, the Netherlands, Spain, which regularly criticise them. So, where are you finding this love from? They are the soft power we could have enjoyed with the increasingly dominant, increasingly self-confident non-white world, especially the Commonwealth. It's not just that they are royals, although of course the only royal thing about them is their title these days. Prince William and Kate headed to No Problem Jamaica in 2022 and encountered problems aplenty. As their PR fiasco unfolded, they were derided for shaking hands with Jamaican children through wire fences and for motoring Viceroy style through crowded streets in a fancy Land Rover. At the nightmare's end, Jamaica basically handed Britain its P45, informing the royals of its intention to be a republic to move on. Now, admittedly, it wasn't the best PR that took place for William and Kate, but to suggest that they're kryptonite just because of one trip is preposterous. It's also the case that he conveniently ignores all of the other plaudits that they receive from all of the other places that they go to, particularly the United States. However, he continues to flog this on behalf of this one's wife, suggesting And it's not just that Harry and this one's wife are famous. David Cameron's 2015 visit to Jamaica as Prime Minister was seen as another giant clunker. Well, that's David Cameron, a man who always reminds me of a gammon travel iron. But then he did self-sabotage there, swatting away reparations requests, quite properly, urging Jamaicans to move on from slavery, correct, and offering to fund the building of a prison to house the Jamaican origin criminals whom Britain didn't want. As a figure of renown and, of course, a descendant of enslavers, he could have handled it all better. Still, Harry has something the royalty left behind, and the likes of chillax Cameron can never have. He has familiarity, an ease with difference, and he has this one's wife. In 2012, he also had the love of the UK press and public. He was praised for his warm embrace of the then Jamaican PM, Portia Simpson Miller, and was photographed larking about with Usain Bolt. He has shown himself to be a natural ambassador, a diplomat in a very real sense. One hug from him has at least partly dissipated the bad feeling of generations. It is inconceivable that any other royal could have pulled this off quite so effectively, gushed the Mail on Sunday. But that was then, before the British media's own version of Orwell's 2 Minutes Hate became a thing. Now, much of the press sees Harry and this one's wife glad-handing and being glad-handed in Jamaica, surfing the love of the premiere of the Bob Marley biopic, and they don't much like it. This one's wife and Harry pose next to anti-royal Jamaican Prime Minister, who wants to ditch the monarchy and warned Wills and Kate they'll never be king and queen of his nation, as Charles undergoes prostate surgery and the Princess of Wales recovers in hospital, thundered the Mail. The hubris of Harry and this one's wife Jamaican photo shoot, snorted the Spectator. Crown fools, provocative, Harry and this one's wife spark royal row as they meet Jamaican politicians plotting to oust Charles as head of state, jeered the Sun. Britain understood Harry's value and soft power in 25. So, what changed? Well, we all know what changed. Along came a spider. However, this writer, Mr. Abbey, writes, the answer is Harry fell in love with and married a black woman. Well, again, let's pause there. When you look at this one's wife, you do not think, I'm looking at a black woman. You think that you're looking at maybe a white woman, possibly Hispanic. But you don't look at her and think that she's a black woman. She never identified as a black woman until latterly when her narcissism recognised that it served a purpose. So to try and suggest that he purposely married a black woman isn't the case. Mr. Abbey continues by suggesting that could have been a boon for this country here and abroad. Instead, it's a might have been. And what might have been to our reputational benefit is what has been happening in Jamaica. But what he appears to gloss over is, whilst you might argue that they could be some benefit to the United Kingdom in Jamaica, they haven't been of benefit to the United Kingdom anywhere else. They've ostracised the royal family. They made life difficult for the Queen and for Prince Philip. They aired dirty laundry. They talked about their family in terms which was only about generating sympathy for them and trying to make money without any due regard for how that would impact upon those family members. They have actually damaged the reputation of the United Kingdom with their behaviour. They have been seen as traitorous. And therefore, to suggest that they've got some soft power dynamite is errant horseshit. He wraps up by telling us the UK headlines and sour grapes tell you one thing. We messed up and we know it. Far from it, Mr. Abbey. This one's wife was and remains soft power dynamite, and we all have now is the soft power kryptonite of Wills and Kate and the Windsor firm that spurned her. Still, that's us. We never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity. I wouldn't even suggest this is a valiant attempt to be supportive of this one's wife, because it's absolute nonsense. To suggest that Wills and Kate are kryptonite is utter nonsense, and this insistence that somehow this one's wife is soft power dynamite really is deluded. But it demonstrates the attempts that are still made to make her something that she is not. That there are those individuals, Mr. Abbey being one, who utilise her purely as part of his own agenda. But it really doesn't cut mustard. A simple analysis of what he has to say demonstrates it doesn't add up. And why? Because of the simple behaviour of this one's wife, that there is so many instances of her being problematic to suggest that she's soft power. Dynamite demonstrates a complete inability to review and accept the evidence of her behaviour. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.